Welcome to another edition of the CS Podcast, where you can hear interviews with special guests such as
Deone Bucannon, Tom Waddle, Pierre Desir, Brent Barry, Ed Werder,
and many others.
Too big, too strong, too fast, too good.
So be sure to subscribe and tune in to the CS Podcast on YouTube at youtube.com/ChristianRE722.
Did you not get the memo?
That's www.youtube.com/ChristianRE722 for great interviews. Be sure to check out the CS Podcast.
You are ridiculous.
Welcome back to the CS Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Shanafelt, and it's a pleasure to welcome back to the show former NFL running back. He's one of only 29 players to rush for over 10,000 yards. He's Thomas Jones. It's always a pleasure chatting with you, Thomas. How's everything going, man?
Everything's great, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, the pleasure's all mine. Now, obviously, there's so much going on around the NFL with free agency, trades. So let's go ahead and get right to it. And as a fellow running back, I want to start off by getting your thoughts on, one of the many big moves Chip Kelly is making out in Philadelphia. What was your reaction when you heard that the Eagles traded arguably the best running back in the league, LaShawn McCoy, to the Buffalo Bills for a former Oregon Duck linebacker in Kiko Alonso, who did have a great rookie season, but missed all of last season with a torn ACL?
I mean, I think it was a shocker to a lot of people because, he's been so productive over the last few years. And, it's a shocker from the fans' perspective. But I'm not shocked that anything happened in the NFL, I guess, because I kind of went through a lot of those situations too. I was traded after having 100 yards in the Super Bowl and 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and I was released after, having, probably the best season of my career in New York, 1,400 yards and 14 touchdowns. I was released. So I'm really surprised by anything that happens in the NFL, but I'm definitely sure that the fans were in shock.
Oh, for sure. And of course, looking at it now, Philly was able to lock up DeMarco Murray with a 5-year deal, signed former Chargers running back Ryan Matthews, and of course they still have Darren Sproles back there as well. Some would say that they're better off now with those running backs than they were with Shady McCoy. Would you agree?
You know what? I guess you never know until you see how those guys work together in chemistry. One thing that you can't question is productivity, and that's what's on paper, and that's what's in your face. And LaShawn McCoy is very productive there. So I think that they have the guys there that can make plays, and they're proven guys and playmakers. But those guys have to really be able to mesh well together because being a running back. You want the ball in your hands so you can, have as many opportunities you can to make plays. Mm-hmm. And, it's totally different when you're the only guy, pretty much like DeMarco Murray was, and now you have to split carries with other guys,
Right. Now, moving on, the biggest trade I would say that we've seen so far in this offseason, in my opinion at least, was the Saints trading tight end Jimmy Graham to the defending NFC champion Seattle Seahawks for their center Max Unger and a first-round pick. And, like you say that, and obviously you've been in the business, so you know how everything works, so it's pretty hard for you to be surprised with this stuff, like you said. But something I try to always tell myself is that if Peyton Manning can be let go and play somewhere else, then anybody can be moved. But this Jimmy Graham trade was another one that came out of nowhere. There's also rumors that the Saints are listening to offers for Drew Brees. Is it safe to say that the Saints are looking to rebuild after getting rid of arguably their best player and possibly getting rid of another?
Oh yeah, definitely. And a lot of it has to do with money. Obviously, that's the business of the NFL. A lot of it has to do with money. And sometimes it's covered up by rebuilding or starting fresh, but there's a lot of guys that have to get paid a lot of money, and sometimes they think there's another guy on the rise that could be just as good or could at least come in and make plays until they find a replacement for the guy that they traded, or at least then they're going to do that because at the end of the day they have to save money. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because you would think that a lot of teams would want to keep their best players around forever, but it doesn't work like that. And for fans, sometimes, it's hard for them to see the business side because they're not in. They don't understand. And they look at it and say, well, why would they trade Drew Brees or Jimmy Graham? And it totally makes sense. The fans want to win. The owners want to make money. So it's tough, man. I mean, honestly, Drew Brees, Jimmy Graham, these guys are like huge players on your team. These guys may play for you. years. And it seems that you want to work your team around those guys. But like I said, it's a business too.
Yeah, and, like I mentioned, I mean, if Peyton Manning could be moved around, then, anybody in the NFL could certainly be moved around. Now, moving on to the NFC North, the Vikings really want Adrian Peterson to return, but it sounds as if AP doesn't want to be back in Minnesota. Personally, I would love to see him in Arizona, especially after Seattle making that big trade for Graham. I'd love to see Arizona make a big splash. Now, I know it's all pure speculation, but do you think Peterson ultimately stays in Minnesota, or will we see him elsewhere?
Honestly, I think he stayed in Minnesota. I mean, unfortunately, he had that situation last year that was just bad all around. It was bad for him. It was bad for his family, but he was able to overcome that and get through it. And now he wants to, arguably the best running back in the history of the game, wants another shot. I mean, to play in Minnesota would be, I think, ideal because of everything that he's done there and just the foundation he has there, the fan base. I mean, he's a legend, in Minnesota. But at the same time, I mean, I guess the way that thing was handled, he felt like the team wasn't there to support him as much as they could. But it's still a business. They had to protect their brand, protect their name, and that's just how it is. So I think he'll stay in Minnesota. I think they'll work it out. For him to go to another team at this point, would be a good first start for him. But I think he's put so much work in Minnesota that I think he'll realize that's the place he needs to be.
All right, once again, former NFL running back Thomas Jones joining the CS podcast. And Thomas, there's been a lot going on in San Francisco. Of course, Jim Harbaugh is no longer the head coach. They lost their all-time leader in rushing yards in Frank Gore. Patrick Willis recently retired. The status of Justin Smith is up in the air. And who we thought was going to be Patrick Willis's replacement, Chris Borland, who just finished a great rookie season. He was a third-round pick last year, decided to retire last week at the age of 24, citing concern of head trauma. What do you make of this decision to walk away from the game? I mean, do you respect that? I can't imagine how hard it is to make a decision, especially after you have the great year he just finished.
I mean, I have the most respect for that kid and his decision. Life is everything, and to live, your brain has to be functioning, and to play football, you have to really understand that your brain is going to go through a lot of trauma, and not just games. A lot of people ask me, how many concussions have you had? And they just think of when they see guys laid out. They don't think of every single time that you're hitting someone, your brain is being jarred in your head. Those are concussions as well. So I have the utmost respect for his decision. He had a great year last year. He had a promising future. But, there's other ways to be successful in life besides sports, and especially playing a game that might cause you to have a short life. It's tough for a lot of guys that retire, man. A lot of times guys retire and you don't really hear much about them. There's a lot of guys that are struggling after the game because you don't realize it while you're playing because, we've been pretty much desensitized to the nature of the game, and you don't realize what you're doing to your body until it's too late. And then when you're out, you're no longer a part of a team, you're no longer a part of an organization, and that safe haven that you had while you were under that umbrella of a team is gone, and it's pretty much just you. So I respect the guy, I wish him the best, and I pray for all the guys that are playing now and the retired guys.
Absolutely. And just a couple more questions for you, Thomas. Then I actually want to talk a little bit about what you're doing nowadays. I know you got an app starting up, so I definitely want to get to that. Now, yesterday was a pretty interesting day. We had the NFL Veterans Combine. Are you a fan of giving free agent veterans an opportunity to work out in front of GMs, coaches, scouts, etc., to try and earn another shot with the team?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great situation because it gives talented guys that were, for one reason or another, not given another chance to play in the league, gives them a chance to get back. And a lot of those veteran players are the ones that with the experience, the ones that will make the game more exciting, make the game better because these guys have played, these guys have experience. So, I think it's great that these guys are getting a second chance to work out for teams. And, obviously, they don't have to pay them as much now because they're coming in basically on a rookies type salary, and these guys have already put work in. So it works out for the best for the teams, because the teams get great players at a low price. But at the same time, I'm excited for the other guys to get a chance. Some guys don't get football out of the system. I know a couple guys that were caught up in the lockout situation and they never could get back in the league. And emotionally and psychologically, it affects guys when you don't get that out of your system. So hopefully some of these guys will get a chance to really, play again and pretty much, do what they wanted to do before they were released or they couldn't get back on the team.
Right on. Now, last topic I want to get to with you, Thomas. Obviously you had a very very nice football career. You were the 7th overall pick by the Arizona Cardinals in the 2000 NFL Draft. Lately, I've been interviewing a lot of NFL draft prospects, whether they come from small D2 schools or big-time FBS programs. Can you just tell us what your draft process was like, what your reaction was like to receive that phone call by the Arizona Cardinals, and is there any advice that you would give these guys looking to achieve their dream?
It was a roller coaster, man. As a kid, I dreamed of playing in the NFL, and you always, in the back of your mind, believe you will. But when that reality becomes that much more clear, it's it's an unbelievable feeling, especially to know that you're projected to be one of the top 5-10 picks. It was a great time of my life. And what I would tell a lot of the guys is, regardless of whatever school you come from, just, literally cherish the moment. Cherish it. Cherish the opportunity. This is your dream coming true. And even if you don't get drafted, just to have the opportunity is you still accomplished your dream. You still had a chance to make it and play on an NFL roster or be, signed to a free agent deal. This is a huge accomplishment regardless. But I would also say to people to understand that, once you get to the NFL, you have to really understand that it's a job. So, while you're having fun and enjoying the process, which you should, just be ready to turn that off, because once you sign the papers and you sign the contract, you're an employee of that team. You don't play for the team, you're an employee for the team, because it goes from being a game to a job. It goes from being a game to a job when you get to college, honestly. But, you're not getting paid for it. But once you get to the NFL, it's like you get W-2 forms, you have to be there at 7:30, you clock out at 5. It's a job. Mm-hmm. It's a job. So I would tell a lot of guys to be prepared to go from college mode, eating pizza and staying up late, to they better get their mind ready for a job, because that's what the NFL is. It's a job.
Hey, man, and you proved it. You had a hell of an NFL career now. You're now doing some things with social networking. I see you have an app out. It's called CastStar. You guys could visit CastStarApp.com. I know it's also available for iPhone, Android. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, man, when I retired, I was one of those guys that, I don't have a wife or kids or anything, so I found myself in this really dead space emotionally, because I've given so much of myself to this game and to the NFL and to football my whole life, that it's kind of like I was in this crazy tornado for the majority of my life as a football player, and then I was just kind of tossed out and landed kind of just in a bare field, so I was bare in the field. I was just kind of looking around like, what am I supposed to do? And literally, honestly, for the first probably 8 to 9 months after I retired, I found myself in this weird space where I was literally drinking at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. And I'm not a drinker at all. I've always trained my whole life and worked out, and I love going to the gym. And I found myself in this space where I would be literally drinking Corona at 8 a.m. And I didn't know why. And I was blessed enough to meet a few people that came into my life that introduced some technology opportunities for me, a website that I started to work on, and then that just kind of made me really, really dig deeper into technology and what it really is, and how lucrative it can be if you have the right platform. And it really put me in this creative mind state. So last April, I created an application called CastStar, CASTAR, and basically it's a social networking platform that will allow people to display their abilities, their talents, not just in entertainment, but across the board in anything they're doing. And the people that are looking for people with these talents, regardless of whether you're a singer or you're a plumber, they will be able to post the opportunities that they need these people for. So really what CastStar is, it's a broker. It's a mixture of like Craigslist, LinkedIn, and then you have the social elements of it. Like there are certain parts of it that is kind of similar, but not really similar to Instagram, and then YouTube, because you get a 6-minute full screen video. So instead of having a 15-second video, you get a full screen 6-minute video to promote whatever it is that you want to promote. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool idea. Plus, we wanted to make it look cool, so we made it pink because, it was very hot pink, a very bright, lively color. When you think of cotton candy and things of that nature, it makes you get happy, you get excited. You're like, well, I think of, amusement parks and things of that nature. So we added a lot of psychology behind it. Me and this kid from Virginia named Joel Robinson. And we're both 2 kids from small towns in Virginia, and we wanted to give the world a platform where we could, show their talents regardless of where you're from, and hopefully be seen and be able to earn some money.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely sounds like a great app, and you guys can get it on iPhone, Droid, CastStarApp.com, and go ahead and search CastStar in the App Store. Thomas, man, as always, man, I really do appreciate your time. You're a class act, and I always appreciate our conversations. You have anything else for us before I let you go?
Yeah, man, you know what? I started acting as well a few years ago. I started to have a production company, in the music for the last probably 7 years, and I added a film division in 2012. And through and my company's called Independently Major Entertainment, and I added IME Films, the film division, to my company. And through that, I started producing a TV show in Miami, and I started to really get interested in acting. So I went from acting in my own TV series to now pretty much in LA mostly. You guys can check out the show on BET. It's called Being Mary Jane, starring Gabrielle Union. And I'm actually in that. And this is the second season, and I'm one of the love interests. It's just really great. It's a really great show. I have a really, really good role on there, as well as Straight Outta Compton that comes out in August. I was cast for that. And that's going to be a really good movie. So it'll be in movie theaters August 14th. You can go check that out. And I'm writing these scripts. I have a production company, like I said. So I have my documentary. I'm shopping it right now. It's called The NFL, The Gift or the Curse. And you can watch the teaser online. Just go to YouTube and type in The NFL, The Gift or the Curse. And it's a 5-part docuseries on the issues that we have as far as NFL players doing their life outside of football. And I'm going on auditions regularly. I'm in LA a lot right now because it's pilot season, so they're shooting for a lot of new shows. And yeah, man, I'm pretty much, I found what I love. I'm happy because I'm able to kind of create. I'm in this creative space where I can create. Where sometimes football hinders that a little bit because we're kind of, everything's so structured. Everything is really structured, and it kind of discourages you from really creating a lot of things because you won't have time to really focus on them because the season's coming up and you have to be very focused. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm doing. You can also go on my website. It's at ThomasJonesRB.com, and check out a lot of my projects and stuff like that. I'm also working on a movie about my family story, a book we wrote called Blessings from the Dust about my family. My mother worked in the coal mines for 19 years in Virginia, and I wrote a book my family did. So we're working on a screenplay right now for that as well. So yeah, I'm doing a whole lot of different things, man. But I really appreciate you reaching out to me, and I'm excited about what's going on. I hope the fans are get excited about the draft and the season. And yeah, man, anytime you want me back on the show, man, you have my number.
Oh, for sure, man, for sure. I'm definitely glad that life after football is treating you well because, like you said earlier, that's not the case for every former football player. You're definitely keeping yourself busy. I love what you're doing. Keep it up. And like I said, man, keep in touch and take care, all right?
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.